You hear the name Don Draper, and you probably think of one thing: confidence. Pure, unshakable confidence. But what if I told you it's not just some kind of magic? What if it's a system? A four-level system that anyone can learn. All right, let's get into it. We're going to decode the psychological secrets that let a person just command a room. I mean, that one line, it tells you everything you need to know, right? It's cynical, for sure, but what it really shows you is a guy who has totally mastered perception. He gets what makes people tick so well that he can basically bend reality to his will. And that whole projection, it all starts with one really crucial distinction. So here's the thing you have to get first. Confidence really comes in two flavors. You've got the external kind, how you look to other people. That's the stuff that closes deals, gets you the date. But then there's the internal stuff, how you actually feel on the inside. That's what decides if you're truly comfortable in your own skin. Don Draper, he was a master of both. And we're going to break down exactly how he did it, starting with the layer you can see. So, level 1. This is all about the physical stuff. It's honestly the easiest place to start because it's all about mastering those nonverbal signals, the message you're sending before you even open your mouth. And it really all boils down to one simple idea. Okay, so the core idea here is super simple. Confident people are not afraid to just exist. Think about the opposite for a second. When someone's nervous, they get small, right? They close themselves off, they're trying to disappear. But Don, he takes up space. And that one simple act signals comfort, it signals ownership of his environment, all before he said a single word. All right, let's look at how this actually plays out. He's never stiff or rigid. He sits asymmetrically, which is a great way to break tension and just signal, I'm relaxed here. He spreads out, he stands with his feet wide, and this is the killer move. He even leans back when he's talking to clients. That is such a subtle power move. It completely flips the script. It subconsciously makes them feel like they need to work to win him over, not the other way around. But it's just as much about what he doesn't do. The man is still. You don't see any nervous tics, no tapping fingers, no fidgeting. That stillness just screams that he is completely in control of himself. And that, right there, is an incredibly powerful signal to send. And speaking of control, his eye contact is just a masterclass in social dynamics. At first, he might seem kind of aloof, right? Almost like you have to work to get his attention. But then, when he's making a critical point or he's closing a deal, bam, he locks in with this intense, piercing eye contact that you just can't look away from. He's using it like a tool to command focus and underline what he thinks is important. Okay, so that's the outside. Let's move up to level 2, because this is where it all builds. And this is where it gets a little trickier. It's not just about what you do, it's about how you react. Or maybe more importantly, how you don't react when things get tense. Okay, here's a classic scene. Don's in Rome with Betty, his wife, and these two guys start hitting on her, and they're even insulting him to his face. Now, most people, they'd get angry, defensive, maybe start a fight. But Don's reaction? It's just fascinating. He stays completely, utterly calm. He does not overreact. And by staying so non-reactive, he's showing everyone that he is not controlled by the situation, he controls himself. This makes him look incredibly powerful. It actually makes the people with him feel more confident. And, critically, it buys him time to think. You want the perfect example of this? Look no further than the legendary 20-second pause. So a client shoots down his pitch right in the middle of a meeting. He doesn't panic. He doesn't scramble for a comeback. Instead, he just sits there in complete silence for 20 full seconds. It feels like forever, right? But what he's actually doing is giving himself space to think calmly. He's not trying to be quick. He's being deliberate. And this makes total sense when you look at the research. Turns out, we give ourselves only about 30% of the time to respond that we'd give to someone else. We rush ourselves. So the big takeaway here is simple. When you feel that pressure, just pause. Take a beat, take a breath. I promise you, you will almost always come up with a better answer, and you'll look way more in control. All right, moving on up to level 3. And this is where things get a little weird, a little paradoxical, because real, deep persuasion, it's not about trying to convince one person of anything. It's about being totally, 100% willing to walk away. Just think about it for a second. When you desperately try to sell someone on something, what are you signaling? Neediness. And neediness is a repellent. Don's approach is totally different. He frames himself as their equal. He's not there trying to win them over. He's there screening them to see if they're even a good fit for him. That simple flip in your mindset, it changes the entire power dynamic of the room. And this quote, man, this quote just says it all. He is literally telling a potential client to their face that he won't even sit down until he's sure that his time isn't about to be wasted. He is ready to let the whole deal die right there. And that very willingness, that's what makes him so unbelievably persuasive. Now, the takeaway here is not to be a jerk or get all emotional if you don't get what you want. It's about having this calm, detached mindset. If it's not working, you just calmly decide, hey, looks like we're not a match, and you genuinely wish them the best. That signals power and maturity. It doesn't signal you being a sore loser. And that brings us all the way to the final level. Level 4, the core. This is the foundation that everything else is built on, and it's this. It's the core belief that no matter what happens, you will be okay. See, for most of the series, Don Draper isn't even Don Draper. He's Dick Whitman. He's a guy living a total lie. But his real journey to true confidence, it starts when he finally begins to tell the truth, even when it costs him everything. Remember that pitch to Hershey's? He just blurts out his traumatic childhood story. And yeah, it loses him the account. It gets him fired. But it's the first real crack in that perfect facade he's built. And then later, he goes even deeper. He confesses everything to Peggy, all his screw-ups, all his moral failings. He's literally stripping away every single layer of that fake person he created, and he's just exposing the raw, messy truth of who he really is. But the real, honest-to-God breakthrough, it happens at a retreat at the very end of the series. He's listening to this random guy talk about a dream he had about being a carton of milk on a shelf in a refrigerator. Feeling totally unseen, totally unchosen. The door opens, you see all this happiness, but nobody ever picks you, and then the door closes, and the light just goes off. And in that one moment, hearing that story, something inside Don just shatters, because he realizes that for all his money, all his success, all the women, his entire life has been driven by that exact same feeling. That feeling of being unseen, of being unlovable. And by actually connecting with this other guy's pain, he finally confronts his own. And he breaks down, he weeps. And right there, that is the ultimate lesson. See, true, unshakable confidence, it's got nothing to do with looking cool or winning every pitch. It's about living your own truth and having this deep internal belief that no matter what happens, you're going to be okay. It's knowing that even if the whole world rejects you, you won't reject yourself. So, to wrap this all up, I want to leave you with a question. If you truly, deep down in your bones, believed that you would be okay no matter what truth would you finally have the courage to tell?